Welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Serpent. And wow, what happened during this case? Incredible during the latest hearing. What occurred? I'll bring it to you straight away in regards to what happened, what's going on next. Now, let's start off by saying there was no ruling. So the judge has taken all the information and now she's going to go away and come up with her own decision. And this is important because she is not taking this lightly. And I actually quite like how she goes about things, how she thinks about things. And so this is going to be really cool to watch over the next couple of days, what her final ruling actually is. So let me go over some of the notes from the call, from the hearing call, of what actually occurred, and let's dive into it a little bit. Now, I'm not going to get you bogged down on jargon, but there are some key points here that we want to mention. Now, XRP did rise 50% for the day ahead of the case, but that wasn't the reason why it rised. The reason why it rised is because of all the news that is coming out, the SBI, the WAN chain, the HECO, the Binance chain, the Orbit chain, the Clay, the Flare, and not to forget the CBDCs, why the price is pumping is not just because the case is happening. So it's really important for you guys to know that information as well. So what happened and what is likely to happen from here? So a couple of things that were mentioned were, the SEC improperly using its abilities, and the actual word was said improperly. This is important because when you go after information, it's important to, obviously you need to acquire the information in a proper manner, and so they didn't do that, and so that was mentioned during the call, and I think this is a really key important points here. Also, the fact that they were doing things prior to a civil proceeding as well. So before filing, they were already doing the wrong thing. Also, in regards to how they went about getting the information, is that they evaded the court's supervision. So they didn't actually advise the court, hey, this is how we're going to go about getting our information. And that is a very important point as well. And on top of that, the SEC refused to stop. So they knew what they were doing. They knew that what they were doing was in an illegal manner, but they still went on about it. And that is super important to recognize. 3 days ago, finally, the court was provided more information from the SEC about how they went about getting their information, but it's kind of like too little too late if you ask me. You go about it in a legal way and then just at the last minute you tell us how you did it. So it's not looking good for them at all. The other thing as well is Ripple have asked the court to make SEC stop and produce documents received and procedure the request themselves. So the Ripple lawyers are asking the court to get the SEC to stop this particular activity. It's becoming ridiculous. The only case law relevant was a case law which was with Badian, which supported the SEC. Defendants argued that it is very different. So the SEC came out and said there's been a case law of the SEC doing stuff in this matter, which Ripple argued that it was a completely different case. So SEC came out saying, look, there is case law of what we did that has happened in the past. However, the defendant lawyer said, no, that was a completely different case. Like that's got nothing to do with what we're going here. And also, in terms of compulsory versus voluntary, the SEC has presented as voluntary, which means that the MOU is essentially a treaty and part of international law obligations asking as part of the US government with all its weight and power. So I think here that it has been an abuse of power, and I think the judge is not taking it very lightly at all and has not made it a ruling. And so no ruling yet, but there will be a ruling from the judge to come from this. So very exciting. There also was a talk about, not being a level playing field. The SEC should play by the same rules after case begins. So the Ripple lawyers wanted to mention that SEC is not playing by the rules, and once the case begins, they need to stop doing the things that they're doing right now. They also mentioned that their outside powers and supervision of the court is required, and the defendants the defendants only found out from a foreign company. So Ripple found out this information about what the SEC went about purely from an outside company. They didn't find out from the SEC or anyone themselves. They actually just simply found out from an outside organization. So if they didn't find out from that outside organization, they perhaps would have never found out this information, which is crazy that the SEC is going against the law in finding information. And the only way the defendant found out was in this manner. So really, really interesting points that they've made. There has been a lot of talk about, SEC playing by the rules. There's been a lot of talk about, that this particular incident has impacted Ripple and has impacted the company. And there was a key point that says the SEC is trying to destroy our business. So big words, heavy words used. And, the SEC used file number from before the case. Also, there were rules about, once in the article, court need to abide by the rules, and also from a SEC point of view, it was a 45-minute call, but this 45-minute call was really, really interesting because of a couple of key points. Key point number one, the SEC have gone about getting information in an illegal way, and the courts heard that today. The other thing was how they're abusing their power. And the other thing after that is not just the abuse of power, but also the fact that it is impacting the Ripple business, and they're trying to destroy the Ripple business. Also, a big mention was done in regards to how the SEC is trying to pick and choose the financial numbers of Ripple, not every financial number, just to make their case. So guys, I think overall today, while there was no ruling, it was an extremely important court date, and I cannot wait to see over the next coming days, hopefully in the not too distant future, what the judge has to say. So where do we go from here? That is the key. Where do we go from here? And where we're going, I believe, is we're going to $3.30 to $4 by the end of May. That is the number, and based on all the momentum that Ripple is having, I think that's where we're going. Now, after that, what we're doing, we're now pushing $1.60. We're going to push forward and push beyond $2, $2.50. We're going to reach $3.30, and a lot of people will sell at the previous all-time high. When we reach $5.50, a lot of people are going to sell. We are going to trade sideways for quite some time. We will trade sideways for a while. But then after that, we will push forward and push to $18 and beyond, and then going all the way to $40 per XRP. Now, overall, if we zoom out, that is the pattern. That's what I think is happening. I am super excited to have brought this to you nice and early. So key points, no ruling just yet. Ripple's lawyers got what they had their say about what is happening and how the SEC found that information in an illegal matter. And I cannot wait to tell you what comes next. Ciao.